for a long time now. We've put requests in, we put bids in. We wanted to speak to the Education Secretary, Michael Gove, about what's been done to rebuild our schools. We feel, and certainly people that we talk to feel, there are certain serious issues. In particular, we've got one school in Coventry, Richard Lee Primary, where conditions are so bad that parents handed in a petition to Downing Street earlier this year. You may remember we covered it on the show. With the Tory conference coming to an end in Manchester today, we were hoping to speak to Mr Gove this morning, but at the last minute, he's pulled out of a round of interviews. Instead, we have a chance to talk to Schools Minister Nick Gibb, who joins us on the show. Nick, morning. Thanks for being with us. Do appreciate it.
My pleasure. Good morning. Morning, Shane.
Can't hide my disappointment, though, and not being able to talk to Michael Gove. Is there some kind of problem with Michael, that he's not able to talk to radio stations locally in communities and therefore talk to the people who need these questions answered?
Well, Michael does talk to a lot of radio stations, there's a lot of media broadcasts, but he's a senior member of the Cabinet and he gets pulled in all directions with all his different responsibilities. But I'm happy to be here, Shane. Delighted to be able to talk to you and to your listeners about building schools in Coventry and elsewhere in the country.
Well, it's not so much building schools, it's more rebuilding, isn't it? I don't know if you know, Richard Lee, we had a situation at one stage where youngsters were being taught in corridors. We've had ceilings fall in, luckily not on anybody in particular. We're in a pretty bad way, particularly Richard Lee Primary School, but there are a number of others as well. What are your thoughts on the state of schools in Coventry?
Well, we do need to make sure that we are addressing the schools that are in the worst need in terms of the fabric of their buildings, and there is money to tackle that problem. We had to cancel the Building Schools for the Future programme when we came into office. It's a very wasteful programme. We are in the middle of a very difficult fiscal position as a country. We spend in any given year £150 billion more than we are getting in tax revenue, and to avoid this country becoming like Greece and other countries in Europe that are suffering very severe problems, we have had to take some very difficult decisions. But we have introduced a priority schools building programme. We're surveying the
they have, yeah. I mean, the worry is, how bad does it have to be is the question, because we thought, if we're not in the top 10, what on earth is going on with schools around the country if kids being taught in corridors and ceilings falling in isn't in the top 10? Or the worst 10, as it were?
Well, it does sound bad, and in fact it sounds very bad, and what we have to do is to prioritise the money that we do have to the worst schools. So we're looking to rebuild several hundred schools or refurbish them, and that's what we are prioritising. But it will be based on need and not based on many of the other factors that came in under the Building Schools for the Future programme. These are very difficult fiscal times, Shane. We are making difficult decisions. We will get through this period, and we'll get through it stronger.
Have a listen to this, some of the parents from Richard Lee School.
School is in a terrible state of repair, and try as we might to throw money at repairing it, it doesn't work. The repairs do not last, and a rebuild is just a massive thing for this school.
Both of my kids are very bright, but when Courtney was in reception, she was off for so many days because the boiler broke down and there was floods. And now my youngest daughter, she's just gone into that area of the school, and I know the same's going to happen to her.
Again, and I'll bring you back, and I know you're not an apologist for Michael Gove, you've got your own job to do, but you do wonder, the school stinks, it's in a terrible state of repair, there's water there, the toilets apparently are absolutely disgusting, and yet Michael Gove hasn't even got on a train and come to see the school.
Well, again, as I said, the responsibilities of a senior cabinet minister drag you in all directions.
But how bad does it have to be? I mean, that's the point, isn't it?
You're not the master of your own. I'm the schools minister, Shane, and these are my responsibilities, and I'm very happy to come to Coventry and very happy to talk to you about the particular problems at Richard Lee Primary School. We are spending the money that we can spend, that the Treasury will permit us to spend, given our fiscal position. We've increased the spending on basic need to make sure there are enough primary school places around the country. We're spending £1.3 billion on providing extra primary school places, and there is money to rebuild several hundred or refurbish several hundred schools that are in the worst state. And I have to say, I visit schools all the time, all over the country, as does Michael Gove. And this, from what you're saying and what we've heard and I've read about, it does sound that this is in urgent need, and I hope very much that it will be way up there in this list in the priority schools building programme.
Will you come and visit? Because you make a good point there, and what we've heard throughout this story is that there are teachers there that are well respected by parents, there are parents who are trying to do their best for their children, the people who are involved, it's not in question their commitment and their forthrightness with dealing with these situations that they find themselves in, but as I say, they feel largely ignored. Will you make some kind of commitment to come and visit some of these schools in Coventry?
I'd be very happy to come and visit Richard Lee Primary School and indeed other schools in Coventry, and I'll ask my office to fix that up very shortly, or at the very latest in the new year. But we have a very extensive education programme. We're focusing on improving behaviour in our schools. Children will not learn unless they have a calm and ordered environment, as well as, of course, a clean and healthy fabric of the building. We're focusing on reading. We want to make sure that every young person leaves primary school, in fact leaves infant school, as confident and fluent readers. We're reviewing the national curriculum. We're giving more autonomy and professional power to teachers. So there's a huge programme of reform underway in our education system by this government, because we want to close the attainment gap between those from wealthier and poorer backgrounds. So I'm very optimistic for the future, but I do understand people's concerns when buildings are in a state that you are describing Richard Lee Primary School.
Nick, appreciate your time this morning, as I say, standing in for the last minute, and we look forward to your visit. We'll talk again when you come to see us in Coventry. Do appreciate your time this morning.
Look forward to that,